Alright, welcome back to another Python programming tutorial, and today we are getting to one of the most important collections in any programming language, but especially the Python programming language, and that is a dictionary. A dictionary is also referred to as a hash map or key value pairs. You'll hear that throughout a couple different programming languages. Um, but it's all essentially the same kind of concept and the same kind of data structure. Me personally, I use this data structure the most, and its practical application in the real world is endless. It's one of the most used collections out of all the collections you can pretty much find in the world. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive right into dictionaries. Because my set video turned out a little longer than I wanted, I'm going to go ahead and split the dictionaries video up into two sections. So today we're just going to talk about the basic syntax behind a dictionary, and then the idea of key value pairs and how they are used in Python. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get going here. So a dictionary is very similar to a dictionary in real life, right? And you can have dictionary like so. The keyword for a dictionary is dict, and I'll go ahead and label this as dict1. Now, whenever you create a dictionary, you're going to use the same braces as before, the curly braces, and this will automatically create an empty dictionary. And then just in case you wanted a review from last time, if you want to create an empty set, it's done with this notation right here for empty set, and then this would be your empty dictionary. Now, inside of an empty dictionary, you're going to have the idea of key value pairs. I'm going to say that again because it's a very important concept. You're going to have key that maps to a value. And that's what makes a dictionary what it is and what it makes it so dynamic. So let's go ahead and create a key value pair here. I'm going to create a key known as name, and that's going to store my name, just like that. And that is an example of how you would store stuff inside of a dictionary. You have a key mapping to a value. So whenever I call this key, and we'll look at what that looks like in a second, it will return this value. Now dictionaries after Python 3.7, I believe, are ordered. So essentially they will always appear in the same order, and they do not allow duplicates, but they are definitely mutable. And they are very mutable and very easy to work with, which is one of the reasons why I like dictionaries so much. And on top of that, dictionaries can also be homo and heterogeneous. There is no preference for the dictionary, it's still just a dictionary. Now, what makes dictionaries so awesome is that eventually we were going to learn about this concept of object-oriented programming. And essentially, in any dictionary, you can kind of create properties that describe a human being. So, for example, I can describe myself with a first name. Let's actually do this first name, and then there's my first name, and then I can create another key value here for last name. Let's see, I can spell, which I can't at all. And then here I'm going to do a colon for my last name. And then here I put a comma, and then I have my age, right? And then I can maybe have is member, add a club, for example. And this can be a key value pair. And I'm going to have this be true. And then the dictionary can go on and on and on and on with these key value pairs. Sometimes you'll see dictionaries organized kind of like this, so it's a little bit easier to read syntactically. I'll go ahead and reformat this for y'all. So like this, you can have any kind of indentation that you want, like this, for example. It won't affect the syntax of the dictionary. I just have a small typo there. There we go. But as you can see, you can have as many enters as you want. You're just going to separate each entry into the dictionary with commas. So just reviewing the idea of a key value pair again, this is the key that maps to this value. So the dictionary is the collection, the variable name. So if I want to query, let's call this Anthony. If I want to query Anthony and I want to know what his last name is, what I can do is I can print and I type in the dictionary variable name, which is Anthony, to brackets there, and then I'm going to go ahead and type in the key name, which is, or key mapping, which is first name. This will return to me whatever is stored underneath first name. So first name right now is storing the value of Anthony, so that's what we'll print to the console window. And this is exactly how you read from a dictionary. Very straightforward. Same thing with last name. And age and so on and so forth. And that's one of the things that I really love about dictionaries is that you can kind of assign these keys, and it makes it very easy to create a data structure that stores data, and it's very easy to tell what that data is, right? Versus Anthony 0, right? It's kind of hard sometimes to tell maybe what 0 is. Now, this won't even run because obviously the key value pairing here isn't 0, but let's say this was an array without any key value pairs or sets, it can be very hard to tell what's going on. Now, a couple important notes here is that you can't have duplicate key names. So let's say I have an age here and I put it at 26, and let's say I have another age key mapping here and I have this to 28, and then I query what age is. Query means lookup. Notice Python's already sending me a red flag here, but let's say I ignore that red flag and try and do this anyways. This will indeed compile, but it overwrites the value. So I will now get 28 because 26 is overwritten with this value. So Python will allow you to put in duplicate key mappings, but it just overwrites whatever this is, so this isn't really necessary. So you would obviously delete that, and then of course everything's going to work out well here. But that is essentially the basic bare bones of a dictionary. It is definitely changeable, so you can update, add, remove, delete items, do a whole bunch of stuff. You can print the various things, and we're going to go ahead and just look at a couple small little things you can do with dictionaries. Now, one thing that's really nice is that dictionaries essentially create these key mappings, but these can also be not only just your primitive data types, but this can also contain lists and tuples and all the stuff that we saw before. So, for example, in game development, you may have position as a thing described in your game, right? And this may be a tuple with an x, y, and z. So let's say they are 100 on the x-axis, 50 on the y, and then 10 in the air, right? You may have that. You also may have something like size, which may also be determined by another tuple, right? So size, where they give you the length, width, and height of a specific instance. So like it's 10 meters by 10 meters by 10 meters and a volume of 100 meters cubed, right? So this is an example as well that you can do with dictionaries, that you can actually store lists and tuples and sets, and we'll see later other dictionaries inside of dictionaries, which can be very useful in a lot of cases. Okay, the last thing we're just going to look at for this video, because I do want to keep it short, is just the way that you can add values to the dictionary. So the first way you can do things is you can update it, or not add, we'll update values first. So you can update values to a dictionary. There's two ways to do it. You can do the dictionary name, you can do then the key mapping you want to update, and then you can set that equal to the new age. So let's say you want my new age to be 29, or let's say I just turned a year older, you can do plus equals 1, and then if I print my age, you'll see here, and I'll go ahead and do this before the update. I go from 28 to 29. And then that's another good example of what makes dictionaries really nice is, again, it's like a storage center. It's one of the best data structures in my opinion. You can also use the update method to do this exact same thing. So what you would do for the update method is you would grab, instead of doing it this way, for example, you can do Anthony, and then you can do update here, and then in here you're going to put parentheses, and then you're just going to put a dictionary here. You're going to type in the key name, age, and then you're going to do a colon, and then you're going to set that to the value, whatever you'd like it to be. This is another way to update and do exactly what you just saw syntactically. It will do the exact same thing. So I think that'll pretty much do it for this video. I don't want to go super in detail into dictionaries and what makes them so awesome. I'm going to say that for this next video that I'm just about to make. But just in review here, dictionaries are ordered after Python 3.7. You can definitely change them and they do not allow duplicates. Dictionaries can be both homogeneous, meaning they can all contain the same data type, or heterogeneous, meaning they contain different data. It doesn't really matter, they can be both. What makes dictionaries so awesome is that they have key value pairs, meaning that inside the variable, you can have a key that maps to a value. And as you'll see when we really get into object-oriented programming, this is kind of like the fundamental behind that and one of the most important data structures for doing that. So that's just it for this small little video here. I hope this helped anybody just trying to grasp the basic foundations of a Python dictionary or a hash map, and I will see you all in the next one.